Almost on Air with Erica and John.
Wow. Is this our first podcast of the new year?
No, this is our second. Oh, wait. This is our first podcast of the new year.
Right? It feels like it's our second, but it's our first. So happy 2021, everyone.
Happy 2021, and welcome to the Almost on Air podcast. This is Erica. My name is John, and we have so many things to get into today. But first, I just want to get into some anger issues that I'm currently having.
Okay.
I have a bone to pick. And here's why I'm upset about it, too, is this is something I've been meaning to bring up on this podcast for legit a month, perhaps more than a month.
Sorry, you're hearing a lot of shifting because I suddenly decided I needed water. So
take everything you need for this. Okay?
All right, what's
Fresh cup of
happening,
coffee,
John?
some tea,
What is
water.
wrong? What have I done to you?
And this is the thing. 2 weeks ago, I even texted you, and I was like, Erica, I'm pissed about something. I'm just texting you because hopefully it'll pop up into my mind during our next podcast. I'm just putting it out there.
I have zero recollection of this moment.
That's okay. We did that podcast, and I totally forgot. But every single time I listen back to our podcast, it comes up in my mind again, and I get re-pissed off. All right?
What did I do?
It's not you. Erica, you would never do anything to piss me off.
That's not true, but yeah, go ahead.
So I have a bone to pick with iHeartMedia, okay? Yeah, this is going all the way to the top, all right? Mr. Bob Pittman, CEO of iHeart, whoever this needs to be addressed to.
Oh, I know what this is.
Standard disclaimer here, though. Hey, I need a job, and I do not mean to officially call anyone out, but for the sake of this podcast, I'm pissed off, okay?
Okay.
Every time I listen back to our podcast, it's been a thing that we have ads in the beginning of our podcast, right?
We sure do.
All of a sudden, dude, there's ads sprinkled in smack in the middle of our podcast.
Really?
We'll be talking about something important, and then all of a sudden, it'll just like spring in a Stater Brothers ad. Like, it's been doing that for the past maybe 4 weeks, and I think it's like interfering with the like listening experience of our podcast. Like, you're in this conversation. I could be telling like a really, really nice story. Like the last one, I was telling a story about how my sister was getting proposed to, and it meant so much to me, and right in the middle, they just goes,
"Welcome in the new year with Stater."
And I'm like, no, I don't want that. Get that.
Don't
what do
want
you mean?
that.
Save that for the beginning. So I have a couple issues with this. One, it's interfering with your listening experience of the Almost On Air podcast, which is just like very immersive. It's very engaging, and you don't want to be disrupted with that kind of stuff. So that's my first issue. And issue number two, we don't even get paid.
We don't.
If
you guys are listening to those and you are like, good for them, they're making bank. We aren't. This is a free show. Free 99.
Like, why? We have ads put in our podcast, ruining our experience, and someone's getting the money for it, and it's not me. And hopefully it's not you.
It's definitely not me.
I wish we got the ad revenue from our podcast, because then we could probably purchase extra caramel on our Starbucks coffee or something with 60 cents from the past year and a half.
That doesn't even sound good.
I don't even think so either.
But, no, guys, we get nothing. And, we just do this because we have fun.
It's kind of cool, though, because sometimes I'll be listening to new podcasts, and I remember when we were first getting into this, I would listen to a podcast, and if they had an ad in the beginning of the podcast, I was like, yo, they're successful. They're making money. Ads want to be featured in their podcast, And then now I'm listening to podcasts, and I appreciate it more when there's no ads. And you just get into the podcast, and you're like, hey, guys, welcome to whatever this is. This is what we're talking about today. I don't want to hear about Stater Brothers. Don't give me Square Cash. I know. I already know these things.
Yeah.
And I just think that it's a shame that your listening experience of our podcast is getting interrupted. And I just want you to know we have nothing to do with that.
And you can click the button that fast forwards 15 seconds. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, but what if you miss a word because you miss us getting back into it, and that was the most important part of what we're talking? Erica, tell me a story, okay? Tell me something very important to you. Tell me a story about your childhood.
You want to know about my childhood? Well,
I did. When's a time you really cried and you were really sad, and something that means a lot to you?
Yeah, it's hard for me to go back to.
You don't even have to get that far. Just start talking.
Anything. Okay, so there was this time when I was actually kind of an angry child, if that doesn't surprise you. And I would throw tantrums. I was so passionate about hanging out with my friends that I would
Welcome in the new year.
Sorry.
Stater Brothers Market.
Hold on, dude. Stater Brothers is in here. They got to tell you about their carne asada specials or something.
Okay.
That's annoying, I don't want that to happen.
No.
Anyways, I think if we're going to do ads, I think we need to start doing ads of things that we actually want to be publicizing,
Sure.
What are some things that you would actually support that we could talk about on our podcast?
I know the number one thing that I would actually support is Orange Theory Fitness. And
Nice.
I am a walking Orange Theory ad without them paying me a cent. In fact, I pay them. So, yeah,
actually true.
and they're doing outdoor classes here in LA. And look, it has changed my life and my mental health. Yeah. What about
Okay,
you?
I like that. I like that very much. How is wearing a mask while you're working out?
Oh my gosh, wearing a mask. Oh, here's another thing I can endorse. Athleta has these masks called non-medical everyday mask. Dude, they are the only thing that I can wear while working out. I can go on a run in it and it's not too bad. It's still a little, like soggy. Like I just feel a
Nice.
little
Okay.
bit sweaty.
Moist,
But
you
I
might
can
say?
breathe and that is very important. And wearing a mask while working out is for lack of a better word, hellish.
Yes.
But would I rather do it or not? I'd rather do it.
Right, and I think if you just got to get one of those thin masks. That's what I do. Mine's like essentially cloth, so I can just breathe in and out of it, which I feel like is diminishing
Right,
the
which
purpose of the
maybe
mask.
is, yeah. These Athleta ones, like I got a pack of 5 for $15.99. All I'm saying,
Nice.
guys, or $14.99. I'm sorry, and there's 2 or 3 layers in them, so I really do feel like they're working, but at the same time they are somehow breathable, and they have a little nose pinch. I mean, they're perfect.
Dude, this episode not brought to you by.
Not at all
Athleta.
brought to you by Athleta or Orange Theory.
You know
However,
what I got here. This episode also not brought to you by Pete's Coffee.
ooh,
Yeah,
he's got
Pete's
the
Coffee.
bag.
Yeah, when you have a Starbucks cup, because they make good cups, but you don't want to drink Starbucks because you're looking for a little extra flavor in your coffee, Pete's Coffee, sold at your local grocery store. I
Can I
drink
ask
it
a
every
question
day.
about that Starbucks cup while you got
Absolutely.
it out?
Mm-hmm.
What's going on at the bottom there?
Dude, this is the most intense Starbucks mug I've ever had.
Okay.
I very much enjoy it. So it's a very nice mug. And then on
It
the
is.
bottom here, there's like a good, I'd say like half to 3/4 inch of
Is
rubber.
that like a rubber so it keeps
And
it
it's-
hot?
It's essentially like a built-in coaster. So if you have a cold drink, you don't want all that condensation on your
No.
dresser. It's gonna get wet. And if you're trying to work on things, your documents are gonna get wet. And then you're gonna have
Documents,
to
yeah.
reprint things if you still print.
Totally.
Or what if your beverage is so hot that it burns your little desk or your nightstand or whatever? See,
That's
with
unlikely, but
This is another ad actually. But with this limited edition Starbucks mug here with the little coaster
it
built in
limited
on the bottom.
edition?
I don't know.
Okay.
They don't have it anymore at the Starbucks. I
well, so
saw.
it was limited edition.
It was, yeah.
That's a
I mean,
beautiful
eventually they're
mug.
not going to have them anymore. Isn't everything limited edition at some point?
Sure.
There it is. But
That's a
it's
really
very nice.
lovely mug.
Thank you. I'm
So this
actually drinking
podcast-
tea out of it today
Oh, so why are you endorsing the coffee, you liar?
because I still enjoy the coffee. Like I still drink Pete's coffee every morning, but I might
Okay.
make the switch back to tea.
Well, this podcast brought to you by Pete's
Well,
I'm
a
sorry,
lot of
not.
things.
It's not brought to you by Pete's Coffee.
And it's not brought to you by Stater Bros either, as much as you
No.
may hear that.
And it's the only thing it's really brought to you by is John and Erica and iHeart,
And it is brought to you by Heart.
because
So,
that they let us plug these episodes into their system, and we are forever
Yeah.
grateful.
that is true, because you also do have to pay for some of these sites sometimes.
True.
And we don't. So, wait, maybe it evens out.
This moment of like, huh,
Whoa. Yeah.
maybe this podcast is brought to you by Stater Brothers.
Yeah, it honestly might be. Like
Okay.
they probably pay for our service on the site that we use to put this podcast out.
Anyway,
Wow, this
thanks,
is a
Stater Brothers.
Full circle moment right here.
A huge full circle moment.
Wow.
I
Shocker.
really just want to dive directly into the next thing that John himself put on the rundown. I didn't
Yeah.
put it. All it says is the great dating divide.
Yeah, dude. So I've had like
Fill
a
me
lot
in.
of time over the past couple weeks to think about many things, right?
Yeah, isn't it a
And
scary
I've-
place when you think?
It is. And I've come
Yeah.
to a couple realizations. So first, I have a question for you, okay?
I have an answer.
All right. Since quarantine started back in March of 2020, that terrible year everyone talks about all the time,
Yeah.
back in that time, since then, do you know any couples who have gotten engaged or married?
Yes.
A significant amount, right?
I've been to 2 weddings myself. I know a million people have gotten engaged.
Right. Do you know couples that have broken up during this time?
A million.
A million.
Not
Do
a
you
million.
know-
A handful.
That's fair. I'll even take the million answer.
Okay.
Because my last question is, do you know a lot of couples who got together during this time and became official?
Became official. It's a good keyword there.
It's a key word. I'm not saying talk to. I'm not saying relationships that are like kind of dating in. I'm
no
saying
situationships here.
became a legit titled relationship since March.
Do I have to know them personally, or can they be a friend of a friend?
That's already my answer.
Okay.
That's already my
I'm really
answer.
trying to think, though.
Maybe there's exceptions. Like, of course, it's not everybody. But the point I'm trying to make is, I've realized there's
Is that
such a
us singles are
huge...
screwed?
Yes. Like, there's a huge dating divide in the world. Either people were tying their knot and they realized during this last year that they want to spend their life with this person because if you can get through this quarantine year, that's pretty much a challenge in itself, right?
Right.
Or you realize you couldn't do it and a lot of people broke up, but it's
One
not really
here on
good
this
for single
podcast.
people. Yeah. I mean, I may know a guy. You know what I mean?
So I'd like to point out that when this all started, I was having a lot of anxiety and I was really open, especially with the morning show, about how hard this was as a single person. I
Yes.
did not feel heard in that time.
No.
No one gave a shit.
Can I give you a confession?
Yeah.
Didn't hear you. Didn't understand.
Yep. Didn't get it. And now you get it.
Totally. So,
And it sucks.
you know what it's like? I was thinking about this too. So now that like I'm back to square one and I'm kind of like back to the beginnings of dating again and kind of looking around and taking everything in again.
Right.
I've
Figuring out
realized-
what you want.
I've realized that this is a lot like, did you have a bar that you go to, whether that be when you first turned 21 or in college, and this was the bar you were always drunk in, and you'd never
Yeah.
been there sober, right? So there's that one bar. For me,
Yeah.
it's this bar called Back Alley in Fullerton. In college, that was the last bar you'd end up in, and everyone's pretty drunk at this point. And I remember one time I went to that bar during the day.
Oof.
And there were so many things I didn't even know were in that bar.
You
I was
don't
like,
want to go to those bars during the day.
It's a different experience. I was like looking at decorations that I'd never seen before. I was like, there's a TV in here? Like, where did this come from? And it's things that I would never notice, but looking through it through this new lens, I began to notice a bunch of things that I didn't notice before, right?
Yeah.
And that's where I feel like I'm at now. So when you're talking about dating for the first time in the beginning of this pandemic, like, you know, when I'm in a relationship, I'm like, sure, it's hard. You know, like,
Right.
sure, I get it. I'm sure it is, but it's different because I'm not experiencing it through that lens. You know what I mean? So now, I got those goggles on. Like,
And I'm not
seeing all
glad.
these things.
I'm not glad that you're having to experience this, but at the same time, I really respect the fact that you're like, I straight up didn't hear you, and now I
didn't.
get it.
It's
Like that's yeah.
challenging. And
And it's really sad some days. Like I'm just gonna be fully honest. Like some days you're like, holy F, this is awful.
I believe that. And I
Yeah.
think so many things seem different to me now. For example, like I was thinking about first dates. And I think first dates aren't the same anymore. And this could be
No.
a present day thing with or without pandemic. I'm not really sure. So I wanted to really ask you about it.
Okay.
So hypothetically speaking, if I were to go on a date, this would be my first date in almost 3 years, right?
Yeah.
Yikes. Intense. But then I started to realize, I don't know if first dates are really first dates if, let's say you're meeting someone on a dating app or meeting someone that you've never interacted with in person
But
for
you've
the first
talked
time.
to.
But you've talked to. Because when you meet someone out somewhere, whether that be at a party or even a grocery store, you're watching them interact and you can build that attraction to who they are as a person based on their mannerisms and how they're interacting with
Mannerisms,
you.
not mannerisms.
I like put a little nya on the end.
Yeah,
there.
a little sauce.
But do you know what I mean? Like you can decide that you're attracted to someone because you can see the way they interact. But on a
Sure.
dating app or someone that you're not really seeing out in public because everyone's quarantined, you only know a picture. You don't know how they carry themselves. You don't know the confidence they walk with. You
I
don't
think
know the
that-
way they speak.
The difference, though, is before you get to the first date stage from a dating app, you have definitely spoken much more than maybe you would have if you just met in a grocery store and said, hey, do you want to go out sometime?
Yeah, but is texting an accurate representation of how that person interacts in daily life?
No, it's
I
not.
don't think it is. And that's what I mean. I think first dates, if you don't know the person beforehand, first dates aren't a first date. I think it's a vibe check. I think it's something that you have to go on to decide whether or not you actually can click with this person prematurely before you even go on the first date. Because I like dates and I like first dates and I would love to do something kind of fun and romantic on a first date. I'd love to be like, hey, let's go on a beach picnic. You know, let's open a bottle of champagne or wine or whatever and let's kick
Sure.
it and have this romantic experience.
But you feel
if
like you
I-
shouldn't do that if it's from a dating app.
I feel like I shouldn't do that if I've not interacted with you first. Because
Correct.
what
I
if we
think
get
that's a
there-
second date if it's from a dating app.
Yes, exactly. So I don't know if I'm wrong about this, but I think if you haven't met someone before, the first date is a vibe check, and then you go into like an official
Vibe
first
check.
date.
God. I don't know, though, because, you know, when you said I haven't been on a first date in over 3 years, I was laughing and I was like, I haven't. I haven't been on. Sorry, I'm really flustered now. I've been on dates since my last relationship, right? And at first I was like, but you know, they're not really first dates for a multitude of reasons. One being like hooking up with someone before. I really hope my mom doesn't listen to this. Anyway,
though, if you hook up with someone and then go on a date, is that a first date?
I don't know.
I feel like
you've already made out, so
yeah.
But anyway, but I did go on a first date. But it was from Hinge. I can't remember if he was a Hinge guy or a Bumble guy. He's that irrelevant at this point. But it was a first date. We went to a bar and we got drinks. I think we ended up having 3 drinks together, and you know, it was fun and it felt first datey.
Yeah, so maybe there are exceptions where if you guys do click really well,
then it kind of becomes a first date versus just a 1 drink vibe check.
Yeah, maybe then it becomes a first date.
This is good though, because I think we're setting language for people to use. If a listener is like, I went on a vibe check with someone and I don't know how they feel, now we understand what they're saying. Right.
If I kind of know you, I would want to go get coffee first. You know, I'd want to go get coffee, take a stroll.
As a vibe check.
You know, okay. I wouldn't want to say that's a date. Maybe it is a date. Maybe it becomes a date because it vibes so well and you click, I know,
but I think it's a date because if you met on a dating app.
Maybe it is.
Because I think anything you do, any hangout you do with someone that you meet on a dating app, obviously your both intentions are to date.
Yeah, that's true.
So in the definition sense of the word, I think you're on a date.
Okay.
But it's kind of like a 0.5 date. It's the first half of the first date.
I would agree.
And I think that's what we can call a vibe check.
If I'm walking by a coffee shop and I see a couple standing there next to each other getting a coffee for the first time, but they're clearly meeting, it'd be weird to be like, oh, they're on a date, you know?
No, I think people have looked at me on first dates from apps and been like, ooh, that's a date going bad. I will never forget. Oh my God, there's another guy that I've gone on a date with since my ex, and I don't even remember his first name.
Erica.
Look, it was awful. It was a terrible date. He talked about himself the whole time.
Dude, see?
And I remember.
So what did you guys do on this date?
It was also, we went and got drinks.
Okay.
And it was just all pre-COVID, obviously. And we went and we were sitting right inside this cute little restaurant around here. And it was great. But then there were people sitting outside, looking onto the sidewalk. And I remember when we went to say goodbye, I called an Uber to go home and he was going to walk to his car. And I was just I gotta get out of here. So I hugged him, but I know that people watching were like, ooh, he just got rejected.
That's awkward. Yeah.
And I literally said yeah, let's get together again if our schedules line up. And it's can you imagine sitting at a bar with someone and watching that happen and hearing the girl say that and you're like, oh.
To be honest, I love watching that. I love watching people get rejected in public just because we've all been there. I think it's
that's
fun.
So sad. It makes me cringe so bad.
But it's the real world, and I like to see that it happens to people. You know.
I guess it makes you feel less alone because, Lord knows I've been rejected.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you watch your buddies get rejected. You ever had a girlfriend go up to a bar and talk to a guy, and he's just not interested?
I think it's different with girls and guys.
Yeah, maybe.
Because usually the girl's the prize.
That's true.
That sounds a lot worse than I mean it. I just mean that I think guys are more aggressive in their attempts, and they often strike out.
Yeah, I feel it's harder to say no to just a girl if you're single, you know?
Yeah, I also think we're less often the aggressor.
Yeah. Okay.
So I watch them strike out much less.
That's fair.
But Lord, have people watched me strike out. That's cool. But yeah, I really do feel for you. I was laughing earlier, oh yeah, you feel it now, but I really do feel for you being back in this. And I do get frustrated because I feel in a way, and maybe because you were in a relationship and now you're not in one, it was ultimately good because it showed you perhaps that relationship wasn't going to work out. And, now you just have a new beginning. But for those of us who were single when this began and who are still single, it does feel in a way, we've just lost a large chunk of our 20s.
And I see that now. Like I'm personally not upset because I think every experience is a learning experience. You know, like,
I agree. I do agree with that.
Yeah, a 2-year relationship to me isn't necessarily a waste of time. I think maybe like knowing after 2 years that it wasn't well, and then 10 years later, maybe then you're wasting time. You know.
Sure. Yeah.
But I think a 2-year relationship isn't really wasting time. It's taught me a lot. You know. And I'm at this point now where I'm not really stressing about it. Like, I know that this pandemic is hopefully like towards its end. And I still feel like the universe finds its way to bring things into your life that are supposed to happen for a reason, you know?
I agree with that.
Like, I'm not like dying to get into a relationship, you know? Like, okay, I feel like I'm a business right now that's going through like a remodel of its lobby.
And you're going to have a new grand opening?
Yeah, like we're working on the lobby a little bit. We're doing some changes. There's like some construction workers going in and out, but we're open. You know what I mean? But like I don't have the guy on the corner with the arrow just like flipping signs trying to bring people in for business. Like, it's not that serious. Like, we're open.
I think when you go on you might go on a couple dates during this like construction period, and then I think there's going to be one where maybe it's, the second or third date and you're going to be like, we're open for business, baby.
Yeah. Like, I will offer
I don't mean sex. I just want to make that clear. Like, I really mean, like, ready for a relationship will be your grand reopening.
Think you actually meant sex? Real question.
We're open for business, baby, is a very, like, hello, let's get it on.
Yeah.
Kind of statement.
Okay.
Yeah.
I give it to you. But yeah, I mean, we got some specials going on. If you don't like the product, like, guaranteed money back in 15 days, like.
Oh, okay.
Come on in.
You don't like the product. No, and I do want to say, like, I do think I get kind of negative about single life during a pandemic on here.
Right.
Obviously I've talked very lightly about the fact that I haven't been entirely alone this whole time. Like, I'm not entirely single at all times throughout this pandemic. Like, I don't want to like lie to people, but it is hard.
Yeah, it's fair to say you've talked to people,
Yeah, and it's like, that's great, but at the same time, you can't go on dates the same way that you would. You can't like take a trip together and like learn more about each other. You can't do any of that stuff right now.
Right, and that's the thing that I've been kind of realizing is just it's taken a huge step back for a lot of people, and especially when you're starting to get to your later 20s.
Yeah, I turned 28, and I will still turn 28 in this freaking pandemic.
Yeah. And it's a little nerve-wracking,
Yeah.
Like, this is the time where you should be trying to learn about yourself, but also I'm sure you can get married at any age, and I'm sure it's still fine.
I know.
But, like, the older you get, the more you start thinking about it just a little bit,
I also think that there comes a point where you just realize you're, like, ready for a committed relationship, and you're like in the next phase of your life. Like, we all had fun dating and like being crazy and stuff, and then I feel like I'm nearing that page where I'm like, I just don't want to do the crazy go out, meet a boy, kiss him, like I just want to like have my person, like have fun that way, take big trips together because we can plan for them and we aren't worried about where we'll be in 6 months.
And
I'm kind of there.
I have some friends too that are in their late 20s as well, and they want to be single, but not for the let's date around single purposes. They want to be single because they're still very into their career. They just don't want to really answer to anyone. You know what I mean? And I've kind of experienced that recently too. It's kind of nice when a friend asks me to hang out, and like, I'm just free. It's free. And if I want to dive into work for a couple of days, like, I don't really have to like make time for anyone else if I don't want to. Exactly. You don't have to warn anybody. I can kind of just do what I want, and that's kind of nice right now. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
Maybe I'll embrace that attitude a little more right now.
You should. It's like kind of nice. And you know what? You're open for business. It's
I'm
not like you're
super open for business.
Rejecting customers.
And again, I don't mean sex.
Buy this establishment. That's fine.
Yeah. Another thing, which I know I talk about all the time, but I've been regularly in therapy since like July or August, probably August. And it is incredible. And I will say that's probably the best thing that's come out of this pandemic is like, I really committed to that. And I just feel like this is a really tough time. So it's a really good time to like look inside and figure it out if it's for you. It might not be for you, but yeah.
I've been getting a lot of Instagram ads for that.
For therapy?
I don't know what that means, dude.
No, it probably means you've been hanging out with me too much, which is not true because I haven't seen you in months.
It's true. I don't know. I was going through my Instagram account, and this guy was just like, wait, stop scrolling. And like that usually doesn't work on me, but this one time I was like, oh, for sure. Like,
Sure,
I don't
dog.
know, this guy's got like some good to say, and he's like, men can ask for help, and I know you need it. Sign up for this therapy session here. And I was
This
like,
is on Instagram?
wow. Yeah.
Dude, they're listening to you talk to your friends about like wellness and
I think they are.
being single, and they're like, you know what? This is a dude who sounds like maybe he'd buy into therapy right now.
And maybe, you know, like, I'm sure it would do a lot of help for anyone, you know?
Yeah. But you know, I also don't think it has to be the only way to like handle things. Like I still think you're working on yourself without it, and that's great.
Totally. Yeah.
So, the next thing you have on the rundown just says learning to date.
Oh, yeah. That was kind of what I was going into now is just,
Oh, okay.
it's interesting to learn these things for the first time because it's thinking about things in the ways that I didn't really think about them before.
Are you like, obviously, you know, we're talking about you starting to think about dating again, being open to dating again. Are you someone who would be down to like do phone calls, FaceTimes before meeting someone?
Yeah, I don't mind that at all.
Okay, yeah, because I think that just like helps. It's like a pre-vibe check if we want to go there.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like
It's like
almost
awkward
sounds-
at first, I think.
yeah,
but
I feel like it would almost be weird to FaceTime someone you've never met, though. You know?
I've done it once a long time ago on a dating app, and I basically never heard from the guy again because he surprise FaceTimed me, and I had like no makeup on. I looked like a trash can.
You know, there's a red button you can use to deny the call. Just be like, hey,
I
was
know, but
busy.
I think we were on the phone, and then he was like, let me just FaceTime you, and I was like, F.
Oh,
Yeah. You know what, though? That guy was garbage anyway. It's not
I
a
hate
big
him.
deal.
He sucks.
Yeah. I don't even remember his full... Oh, no, I do. Anyway.
Do you purposely forget guys' names, or do you just like...
I think that at some point when people are incredibly insignificant to you, you just forget who they are.
Wow.
So,
Yeah, that took
sorry.
me by surprise.
Yeah, you really like almost spit out your coffee there.
For real.
Yeah, I think that you should be open, especially during COVID times. Also, are you going to get an antibody test?
Do I need to?
I don't know. I was just curious, like, for dating purposes. But I think also when you start to date someone in a pandemic, you weirdly just have to accept that, like...
You gotta live your life. I mean,
Yeah.
There's only so much you can stop to do. You know what I mean?
Right. And I think being careful on, like, first, second date is a good idea. Maybe no, like, tongue licking. I don't know why I called it that. I'm really sorry.
Sounds kind of hot.
But you know, once you get to know them, you can have the conversation of like, okay, how careful are you, whatever. And
Yeah, I mean,
You
it's
just
cool
kinda
to
have to
tell
go
people
from there.
that I had it like a month ago or a month and a half ago.
right, they probably feel more comfortable.
I feel way more comfortable. I
Yeah.
think like people with antibodies should like be the elites of our time right now. You know? We should get like
Okay.
a bracelet, you know, that just says, hey, I have the antibodies.
Yeah, but
And
they
it's
don't
just
know
like-
how long they wear off. They don't know any of that.
They got to come up with some technology to track it in your body.
Okay, that would
Because
be cool.
I am superior, and I do not want to deal with you unimmune swine.
I know. You know what? It's like that part of me is like, I should just go hang out with John because like, who cares? He has the antibodies. He's had it. But they don't know if you can carry it still. So
Yeah.
I refuse to hang out with you.
I think you just refuse to hang out with me.
That's not true. Well, even pre-COVID, we hardly hung out. So.
Yeah, that's what I mean, dude. You're all talk. Also, you live an hour away, and that like doesn't
just
help.
wait until this shit ends. I have
Okay,
sworn
dude.
twice on this podcast today.
And then something else is gonna come up, and then something else, and this
And then I'm gonna be like,
pandemic.
I'm in like a weirdly committed relationship. It came out of nowhere.
I'm deep into therapy, and she's telling me to spend time alone right now. And
She says to not go hang out with a house of boys.
yeah, I mean, we're pretty contagious.
Yeah, you guys are, you've all had it, but I still don't really like trust your house.
I was just guy things that I realized. So a friend of mine recommended that I make tea with milk and sugar, right? Kind of like you would make a
Very
coffee in the morning.
English.
Yeah, it sounds pretty English, actually.
I think that's like a
Um,
thing they do. Yeah.
And in my tea days, when I used to drink tea all the time, I would always just drink
Boys
it
tea
black.
talk.
Boys tea talk with John Camucci. Wow, I'm gonna bring that back.
Okay.
But I realized like I never put anything in my tea just because I didn't know how to do it, so I just drank
Yeah.
it black, out of boredom. So
Sure.
someone recommended that I should put milk and sugar into my tea. So I was like, dude, I'm gonna try that today because I kind
Okay.
of want to go back to tea. So I was like, perfect. So I put the milk in my coffee, and then I realized,
You mean in your tea?
in my tea, and then I realized I don't know if we have sugar. Like,
So
You
you're
know?
just drinking tea and milk.
it took me 30 minutes to find sugar in our household because I live with 5 guys and we're not baking. Like, when's the last time I needed sugar for anything?
Yeah,
like
to
just
be fair, I
regular
don't know
sugar.
if I have a bag of sugar in my
Yeah.
house.
Like, do people have sugar? just on
I don't
deck.
know, because I just use an almond milk creamer in my coffee, and so I don't.
My life. That's exactly what I
Yeah.
do. And I was like, dude, can I just use creamer? And apparently that's not the same as milk and sugar.
No, I don't.
I don't
think
know the
so.
science behind it, but this is pretty good. So
Pretty good. Just
Here
the
we are.
tea. Oh, you did find sugar. Okay.
yeah, but we found it.
Wow. I
I
can't
had to dig,
imagine
though.
tea with milk in it. Like it's herby and then it's like milky.
It's like it's softer, I think.
Hmm.
Like I feel like when you put creamer in your coffee, you have like two very bold tastes. So it punches you in the face with flavor.
Sure.
This is like a subtle. It's like a subtle touch of flavor.
Okay. I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, do it.
Before we get to, and we are going to do a balls deep question of the day today, but
love
before
it.
we get to that, I actually have a really big announcement, and
Whoa.
I've been keeping it from you all week.
I don't have an alarm. I'm
I
looking to
just-
sound the alarm.
Yeah, I just found out, and I'm like so excited. I won my fantasy football league.
What? No way. Wait.
Yeah. I literally, John,
Wait.
I don't know how it happened. I beat like my brother who played college football at Arizona State. He was a quarterback. He's like a big football dude. I beat him.
Wait, so were you following this the entire time? Like, were you watching your
So I've been like
championship
paying
game, or-
attention. What?
like, there's a championship game, right?
Yeah, like
Where you
on
play
the
the person.
app?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was, 3 weeks ago, we went into the playoffs because you played the team that you were in the playoffs 2 weeks in a row. And then the next one for the championship game was 2 weeks in a row. You had to beat them.
Oh wow. Okay.
And so, you guys might do Yahoo. We do the fantasy
Yes,
app.
we
Whatever.
do ESPN. I think it's the same.
Okay, yeah. So my first week I was up against, really my nephew was the one who I was up against for the first round of playoffs. Just pummeled him. The first week I lost hard and I was like, dang, I'm out, whatever. And my brother-in-law was like, no, you play Oliver one more time. So then destroyed him. And the points, you just like add them up over the 2 weeks. So we just killed him. Sorry, Oliver. And then I go into the championship league or round and I'm like, no way I'm going to beat my brother. Again, first week, he destroys my team.
Nice.
Like just absolutely sad. And then this last week, I don't know what happened. He was up by like 60 points and I ended up winning by like 40 points or something crazy like that.
You must have had someone who just like went off.
I had a couple.
Yeah.
So, you're looking at your new
Oh my god.
Sullivan, Ferguson, Kumler family fantasy football winner.
I have so many mixed emotions. And first, I feel like I found out that another friend is getting married. On one hand, I'm so happy for you.
I'm
like,
super not
congrats.
getting married. Don't worry.
I know. But I'm just like so happy for you because that's awesome. And I can only
Yeah.
imagine how cool that feels. And then the other half is like, I came in dead last. I literally
You
have
didn't
to
even make
eat-
the playoffs, right?
No, I did not. I was the last place team in our league, and I literally have to eat bull testicles as as like a consolation or whatever.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I have to go find out where to buy them. And everyone's been texting our league group chat for a while now because we agreed on this weeks ago, obviously.
Oh my God. You should have never agreed on this.
No, I didn't think I was going to come in last. I was like, this is my first year playing fantasy. I was like, for sure I'm coming in first. I got beginner's luck. Y'all are screwed.
So I get a
won
little
single
trophy.
game.
So that's cool.
And
No money prize. No, we're not doing any
Ah.
money prize. Because we really started it as like a funny joke to do with my nephew.
Mhm.
And then I knocked him out. So who's the bad guy now?
There it is.
And so I get a trophy, and then the loser has to wear hot pink T-shirts that say like "My fantasy thinks I suck" or "My family thinks I suck" or something.
I would much rather prefer to wear that. to be
Yeah, than
honest.
eat a bull testicle.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
I don't know. Maybe
Can
they're
you
good.
make sure you take video of this?
100%. I will
Okay,
take
cool.
videos.
We'll have to talk about it once you do it because that's disgusting.
It's terrible. Not
So
excited.
yeah, I just bow down to me and
I will do no such thing.
yeah. Okay. Are you ready for your balls deep question of the day?
I've been waiting for it for the past 40 minutes here.
Wow, we're ready. Okay, this will be an easy one then. Actually, it might not be easy. So, I just keep a list of things, and I just want to know, what's your least favorite house chore?
Dishes. This is the most easy question in the world. I hate
Okay.
dishes.
Well, I actually just I had a different question in mind, and then I was like, it's too complicated, so I switched to this one. Okay, so you like, what about them do you hate?
I hate my hands getting leftover, gross, day-old food on them. And then they smell afterwards, and you got to wash them, and then it smells like dish soap and maybe still a little bit of that ranch that you were, like, cleaning off a plate.
Yep.
The grossest thing. I don't want to touch, like, meat that's been sogging in water or whatever.
Nope.
That's why, like, I specifically, my dishes are never in the sink because I don't want to do them later. It makes it way worse. I always wash everything as soon as I'm done using it.
I'm not great at that, but I lately have been very good at that because we live in a small apartment. There's not space. Like, I just don't need it sitting
Stacks
around
up.
either. Yeah. So, yeah, I lately, it's like, even before I eat, I will clean what I use to cook what I'm eating.
Dude, so I buy, at the store, I buy, it's like...
No, don't tell me you use paper plates.
No. I mean,
okay.
First of all, yeah, 100%. They're on top of our fridge. We don't use them often, but, like...
Oh, just sometimes. I thought you
Just
meant
sometimes.
every night. I was like, oh, dear
No,
God.
I was going to say I bought those, like, housewife rubber yellow gloves that go down to your elbows.
So you don't have to touch the gross food.
Dude, I put them under the sink because there are some times living in a house of multiple young people that the dishes stack up and no one's going to do them. And sometimes I'm just like, I'll just do them. Like, I don't know whose they are. I'll just do them.
You're a much better person than me. I refuse. And that is often here. And I refuse. I will not. If they're not mine, I will not.
It's hard. It's hard. But it's eventually I'm just like, I'm pissed. And it's like impeding in my space.
Yeah,
and
no,
I
I get that. I guess.
I don't know what dude's been eating. You know, it's like there's weird things, and I don't touch them. I'll be honest. I just don't.
Do you use
Like,
the gloves when you wash even just your own?
No.
Oh, okay. Just
Because
when
I
you
know-
get to the point.
Yes, just when I'm like furious, and I have like dish eyes, and I got
Dish eyes. Do you ever just have the conversation like, guys, if these are yours, would you just do them?
that like daily.
Oh, God. Okay.
I mean, I like we all have the things that we do. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
sometimes I'll leave my shoes
I get
like
that.
by the couch or whatever. Like everyone's got their thing that they do.
Sure.
So it's like you can't get like too mad because you're guilty of something else. You know what I mean?
Very much so.
It's rough.
I kind of agree with you on the dishes front, but I will say I have a strong, and I think that's where this question came from. I hate the sound of the vacuum more than actually anything in this world.
The sound of the vacuum is one of the most soothing sounds in the universe for me. I love it.
John,
My
I
mom-
literally will freak. Like, I can't handle it.
Dude, my mom used to turn on the vacuum when I was a baby because that was the only thing that would put me to sleep. The vacuum and the hairdryer. So, like, if I couldn't sleep as a baby, she'd literally turn one of those two on. I go right to sleep.
I also don't really like the sound of a hairdryer, and I rarely ever dry my hair, hence it looks like a mop today.
It's so soothing. It's like a rumble. It's like a deep rumble.
I wonder if do you blow dry your hair?
No.
I wonder if that's why you enjoy it more than a lot of men blow dry their hair, John.
No, I accidentally clicked the thing on my chair.
Oh, okay, yeah, you look really short.
Yeah,
I
don't
thought
know
you
how
were
to-
laughing at me for asking that. I was like, that's not that weird.
No, one of my roommates blow dry. I have a blow dryer just in case, like, I
need
I
a
think
style
I
quickly.
don't know how. Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
how a dude should blow dry his hair.
It's just when you have so much hair, it's annoying to blow dry.
How so?
Cause you gotta like, it takes so long, and you gotta like style it. Like clearly, I haven't, but yeah, I just hate. And I think that there must have been something where like my mom was always vacuuming when I was a child, and it just bothered me. So that's my
Yeah.
2 cents on that.
I'm so glad we disagree because I love the sound of the vacuum. I think it's amazing.
It makes me want to rip my teeth out.
Oh, I love it.
Once again, we can agree to disagree here.
Agreed to disagree. I also have another realization, but I'll probably save it for next week.
Is it a long one?
No, I'll get to it now.
Okay.
So over this past week, another week of realizations.
Okay.
I've noticed the amount of alcohol intake that like I sometimes do on weekends, right?
Okay.
So I've come to this new realization, though, after much thought.
Say the word realization one more time.
Realization?
Thanks. You just said it a lot, so I just wanted to get one more in there.
Realization.
Yeah.
I've decided that I should actually drink more.
Water.
No, alcohol.
What? Why?
Hear me out.
Okay.
All right? So I feel like during the week, okay, I try not to drink because, I mean, for the most part, I did a really bad job during the holiday break. But for the most part,
Yeah.
I try and eat healthy during the week. So I try not to drink at all, like zero. And then
Okay.
on the weekend, I'm usually like, this is my time to go out, right?
Okay.
So then I think I drink a little bit too much. And then I'm very hungover the next day. And it ruins like a whole night and the whole day after for me because we just get hangovers much more intense these days. So then I decided, wait a minute. What if I spread this out a little bit, right? What if when I'm feeling like I just need a drink after a long day, I have a nice drink or two. We get a little buzz on, and then we go to sleep, feel fine the next day. And we do that maybe 2 times a week, 3 times a week. So that way, I'm used to it, and then I'm living life more. And I still get to drink and then not
And you
be
don't feel
hungover.
so terrible on Sunday.
Yeah, because I don't feel like I need that outlet to like, okay, this is my one night that I'm going to go out and drink, you know? Let's just get moderately buzzed more often.
Sure, I've tried this game. And I would like to say I am confidently on, Friday morning and haven't had a sip of alcohol since Saturday. So, yeah, it's been really nice. I feel incredible.
Really?
But I will be drinking tonight. You do you.
But are you going to drink more tonight because you haven't drank all week?
I don't think so. I still really don't want to feel like crap tomorrow. Actually, I have an Orange Theory class tomorrow, so I can't. Yeah, I just kind of feel like if I was going out to a bar tonight, that could be different, but I'm just not.
I'm going to experiment, and
Okay.
I'll report back with the results in a week.
Sounds fantastic.
Thank
And I
you.
would like to, I talked about my resolution was to not drink on weekdays, and I really have never felt better.
Wait,
So.
you didn't drink this week with everything going on?
No, I didn't. I
How
texted
did
on
you?
Wednesday and said to our group chat with work, and I said, this might drive me to, I'm drinking on weekdays, but this might drive me to drink. And John responded, shocker. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to drink then just because you said that. And I held to it, and I didn't.
No. I was so proud of that comment, too.
I was like, you jerk. Yeah, you got me, and then you didn't because I didn't do it. So thanks for the inspiration.
That does it for me today. You got anything else?
Yeah, that does it for me today, too. We will
Perfect.
be back next week with an update on my lack of drinking and John's additional drinking. We're just
pumped.
evening each other out. It's cool.
I love it. Follow us on our Instagram at Almost
yep.
On Air.
And that's it.